Good afternoon, MLB Pro family. This is Scott Guessford, your Oakland A's GM, and I'm with Rob, who runs the Kansas City Royals. How are you today, Rob?
I'm great. How are you, Scott?
Good, thank you. Anything you want to start off with before we get started?
No, other not just nothing other than I'll start with the first question, which is how's 2022? And in Kansas City, it was what we like to call a disappointment from start to finish. Actually, that's not true. It was everything was going pretty well until the middle of June, and then it all went downhill. And
Yeah, I have one of those.
we don't have injuries to blame. It just kind of all things just quit going our way. Um, most of our guys that we figured would be our top producers were underperforming, particularly Cody Clemens. I've lamented enough on the Slack channel about how he was disappointing me all year long. Um, and then most of our pitching was about a run a game worse than I kind of thought they'd be. So that hurt too.
So, do you think that's enough if they start pitching like they're supposed to pitch that you could be competitive in the Central?
Definitely, definitely. We made one big free agent acquisition this year, getting Mark Baker. Uh, is going to come in and hopefully uh, add a lot to the offense. Not only with his ability to hit home runs, but also maybe maybe having just one power hitter in Cody Clemens last year. Um, was allowing guys to pitch around him. So maybe having that second bat there will, you know, help Cody get some better pitches. Who knows? I don't know. But um
Yeah,
Clemens,
only time will tell, right?
yeah, I mean he fell from 30 home runs his rookie year to 16 last year in about 120 more at bats. So that was um quite disappointing.
Well, looking over 2022 for you, you finished in third. Not terribly too far back.
No.
Looks like Detroit's improved some, uh, or maybe with Scalise being average, that'll improve him a little bit. The Twins are the question mark, aren't they, in your division?
Yeah.
Can they keep it up or not? So as we move on, so what's your philosophy on uh, player development, scouting? Holding on to some cash in case you want to make a big splash.
Well, what I've been trying, so the last 3 years. So my whole time here, I've kind of been. I wrote out. I actually wrote out a plan in an Excel sheet with what I wanted to do each season. And the first 2 years kind of went according to plan. I wanted to get rid of all my veteran players, which I did relatively quickly. I wanted to, draft, kind of near the top of the order, which I did. I wanted to spend a lot of money on player development and scouting, which I did. I maxed those out. Um, I wanted to grow from within, and then with the extra cash I had each year, I was taking on bad contracts in exchange for prospects. Um, and that went pretty well until last year. Last year, my goal was to go 81 and 81. Um, and we had I'm going blank on the pitcher's name. We took a pitcher on for a prospect that was eating like 20 million. And I thought he actually had a little talent left. But that went south. He had like a 5.5 ERA. And so we ended up just buying him out and getting him off the team so we could try to let some of the younger players have more innings. Um, so this year, instead of using my extra cash to purchase bad contracts, um, I decided I was gonna just, get a veteran guy, one to sell tickets, um, two to drive in runs, and so that's why we went after Baker, and we were actually in the running um, for a couple guys. Um, But in the end, everyone else I wanted ended up getting too expensive. I would have loved to have two $20 million a year players. Um, but that did not end up happening. But I'm pretty happy um with how things are right now.
You can always
So
trade for
yes,
another $20 million guy if you want.
yeah, and well, now I can't because I've popped the leftover money I had back into my scouting and development budgets. So I've got about 5 million to play with right now. Um, but I think we're gonna be competitive. As long as the Twins have Copeland, they're gonna be um doing well, I think. But I think I don't know. I hate to say I'm over optimistic, but I think these guys they can't all do as bad as they did last year again. Can they?
You got some wood you're knocking on or something to.
Yeah. Well, I do have my Royals hat on, so I can kind of rub the bill or something for
There you go.
avoiding the
Channeling
avoiding
your
the jinx.
1980s George Brett.
Yeah. But we just recently signed a couple more pitchers for the bullpen, guys that have been starters historically. We got Jose Fierro and Pat Crosby over the last couple days. There's one guy I want. We've been going back and forth. He keeps saying I need to give him a little bit more. He hadn't turned me off, and then all of a sudden, last night he said he wanted a little bit more, and I went to negotiate. I went to the to negotiate and make a new offer, and he said he doesn't like my manager and won't sign with me. I don't know. I haven't changed managers. I don't know where that came from,
It's crazy
but
how that. I mean, to me, this offseason has been crazy where people have not been responding to offers for a
no,
long
no,
time. I
yeah,
know when I was actually in play for Holston, I never expected to get him being a small market team, but
right.
he was favoring my offer for like 10 days. Then all of a sudden, he says, I don't like your offer, make a better one. And then, like 2 days later, he signed with the Dodgers. So,
Yeah. So that's how it goes.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I'm
How
thinking
happy are you with your rotation?
so let's go over the rotation real quick. I've got
Yeah.
Chris Bubik is one of those guys. I thought he'd be my ace last year after his rookie year, where he was 9-5 with a 3.32 ERA and a 1.1 WHIP, which are better than what you usually see in Kansas City these days. And he went 3-11 in 31 starts last year. He was a terrible disappointment. His ERA was up to 4.25, and his WHIP was almost 1.5. But we've penciled him in to be our ace again this year. Number two guy, Chris Rivers, was probably the guy that did what I thought. He was 8-8 in 21, and then he went 9-6 last year in 32 starts with a 3.86 ERA. So I think we're good with Rivers. My number three guy is probably going to be Casey Mize, who um, I still don't think he's reached his potential. Now he's only 25, so there's still room for him to do well, but I don't think he's pitching to what his ratings are. Um, and he was one of those guys that we were just really disappointed with. You know, his rookie year, he had a 4.89 ERA. That was 2020. Followed that up with a 5.65 in 21, and it was 5.35 last year, and it was 5-11. So if these guys can get their ERAs down by a run a game, um, they'll all be fine. Uh, the one probably bright spot we had last year was we called up a guy who had pitched very poorly in AAA, named Kevin Nost. He had a 5.63 ERA in Omaha, but my scout loved him, and my scout is just like saying this guy's a 2-3 starter potentially. So we called him up late in the year, started 8 games, and he went 4-1 with a 2.98 ERA. So that Kevin Kevin's going to come back as our fourth starter going into the season, and then our fifth starter will be Jason Neal, who another guy. He's kind of regressed every year. He went a rookie in 2020 with a 3.75 ERA, then it went up to 4.68, and last year was 5.23, and he was 7-10. But he's got, my scout thinks he can be a good pitcher. So we've worked a little bit on solidifying our defense, but it's really About the same as it was last year because that's when we tried to improve it was last season. So I feel like these guys have good guys with good range, good gloves behind them. I just don't know what happened. Um,
Yeah.
I
There's some out of
brought
the
in
park magic somewhere, right? That
I
we can't figure out.
yeah, I brought in a new pitching coach in the off season. In a late move, I was gonna stick with Arthur Rhodes, who I had um the prior year, but I ended up signing um John O'Quinn, who I'd never heard of. He's got no experience. Um, but I liked his ratings, and he handles development well, and he teaches pitch. He's got an excellent rating in teaching pitching. So we'll see if a change in pitching coach does any good at all.
Can't hurt to try, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
what else you gonna do with
Yeah.
that
So,
money?
um, yeah, right. Some
You
of the
got you got
coaches
Nos
were
you got
getting,
Nos for me
did I?
for a
Okay. Yeah.
separate
Was
go
that part
for I
of
think
the,
was
was
Brandon
that in
Gill.
the
Is that the
deal?
one?
Okay. So it was separate from the deal where I got, Rizzo.
Yeah, we did two different. Yeah, you traded me Gill straight up for him.
Okay. So Nost was, let's see. Was it just straight up Gil for Nost?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It was. Okay, yeah. So yeah, my scout liked him back then when I made the trade. He wasn't doing well, and I said, you know what? A lot of these guys in the international league have inflated ERAs. Let me just see what's happening in
Yeah.
the majors, and he was great. He was great up in the majors. So
My scout really liked him too,
um,
but I couldn't pass up. I was trying to build. I needed a third baseman for the future, and
yeah.
somebody I targeted. So, what are you going to do with Joe Kelly? He's also listed as a starter right now. I know he pitched out of the bullpen also
So
last year.
yep. So Joe Kelly's I'll talk a little bit about him. I was upset that I couldn't sign him to an extension last year because he wanted to test the market, but then I ended up getting him for less than he was asking for originally. So we're glad to have Joe Kelly back. I'm glad he didn't find anyone else on the market that wanted him, but he'll be in the bullpen again, probably in a setup role, but available to move to the rotation if we have injuries or something like that. Um,
Okay, so how does your bullpen look?
so Addison Reed, our closer, one of the few guys that was actually good last year. He was our big free agent signing last year was Addison Reed, who makes all of 5.5 million a year, just to, to show you what I consider a high paid guy. Um, and then compare that to the 20 million that Baker's getting now. But yeah, so he came in with a 4-year, $22 million contract, and he had 31 saves and a 3.12 ERA. He was pretty reliable as my closer, so he'll be the closer again. Right now, I let my manager handle all the lineups and the pitching staff, and he's got Joe Kelly and Luis Martinez pictured or penciled in as the setup guys, um, with Kevin Aylward, another guy I think I got from you.
You did.
Um, as a middle reliever, and he was good last year. He went 6-5, 4 saves, 3.62 ERA, which is anyone that was under 4 for me last year, I consider a success story. Actually, for me, anyone under like 4.5, I consider success. And then I've got a homegrown player in Henry Lockwood and penciled in the middle relief along with Jose Fierro, who he just signed a couple days ago. And then Pat Crosby and Evan Smith, a couple of guys that have a lot of endurance, are there if needed. Right now, Fierro and Crosby are the only left-handed pitchers I have in the bullpen, so I might try to get one more um, if my final target doesn't change his mind about hating my manager.
Yeah,
Might make one more little move, but it'll be like a guy that's 2 million or less a year. I'm not gonna go spending a lot on that.
yeah, on the bullpen. So do you normally keep 12 pitchers, 13 pitchers, or does that fluctuate during a year based off schedule and stuff like that?
So I'd normally have 12, but last season I went to 13. Um, and I'll probably do 13 again this year, at least at the start. If I see, somebody's not getting any innings, I might send them down and call up another bat. But I think the 13-13 worked well for me last year. Despite the team, despite my team being terrible, I don't think my guys had inflated ERAs because there were too many pitchers. I think there's other issues there. But I have a ton of young talent, and I don't like them just sitting, particularly hitters. I'm very pleased with my outfield depth, and I don't want them just sitting on the bench. So having just 13 guys on the 13 position players on the team seems to work well for me. Everyone gets to play.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about your lineup. Do you want to go down your
Sure.
position players who is penciled in as the starters right now?
Yeah, definitely. So Bernie Blanchard, my leadoff guy, he's a guy that draws a lot of walks. He's going to be making the move from left field to center field this year. But he's got great speed. He's a great base runner. He's got a great eye. He struck out 101 times, which in this league is considered low.
Yes.
um, but he posted a 398 on base percentage last year. So he's coming back and hitting leadoff. He's just going to move to center field. Um, he's got uh, a great glove. His range is he's got a 60 range, so hopefully that's good enough for center field. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
My number two hitter is my favorite player, Gus Lopez, 25-year-old. He started as a shortstop and moved to second base last year, and he's like a phenomenal defensive second baseman. He also has, phenomenal speed, great base running ability. He stole 40 bases last year, hit 316. In 2021, he led the AL with a 333 average. So Gus is one of those guys that, I only have a handful of them, but he actually, both Bernie and Gus did play to their potential last year. But after that, in the lineup, it was all disappointment. So my manager has number 3 right now, Mark Baker, the newcomer, who's going to play left field and force Bernie to center field. Mark hits 37 home runs for Seattle last year, 38 the year before, 37 the year before. So it's been really consistent. We're excited about having him. So hopefully that won't hurt us. We were gonna,
Yeah.
lose a draft pick for signing him.
Yeah,
Uh,
but what's he going to bring to your team?
right, a lot, and he was a huge bump in fan interest, so he's helping with this ticket sales, which matter a lot to me, being a small market team with a not very loyal fan base. The fan interest right now is at 76, the highest it's ever been since I've been at the helm of the Royals. So excited about that. All right, so cleanup hitter right now penciled in is Cody Clemens, 26 years old. I already mentioned he fell from 30 home runs in 21 to 16 last year. Still out, still think he has great power. He's a very good defensive first base. He had started his career as a third baseman, and I've moved him to first. Um, he kind of split time. He kind of went back and forth between first and DH last year. With Anthony Rizzo playing first other days, but I'm gonna lock him in at first base, um, just to give him some consistency. Maybe that played into him not hitting as well. We'll see. Then we've got there's not a lot of position battles in Kansas City, but there is one, and that is at catcher. So David Davies was our starting catcher last year, and he hit 22 home runs with a 239 average. But if you look at it month by month, he was hitting like 280 the first couple. When we were good, he was hitting like 280, 290. And then he just fell off in like July, August, September, was just hitting below 200 that whole time. Um, so I think right now, My has a rookie, Hagen Donner. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. It's
Close
as
enough.
the starter. Yeah, and Hagen Donner he was a September call up last year. He had 0 hits and 7 at bats, so he didn't play much at all. But we'll see what happens there. I saw Jonathan in Pittsburgh had a few catchers on the market. I might look into upgrading. I don't know. I feel like these guys are good enough, but they just need to get their act together. I've got a really good catcher um, in Omaha, Francisco Alvarez, who might be able to come up. He'll probably be on the spring roster. We'll see what he does, but he's got a good bat, so he might be in the mix too. Um, just have to wait and see. But right now, Hagen Donner, who is 0 for 7 in his career, is penciled in as the 5th hitter. Nander Desada is our starting third baseman. He's a phenomenal defensive third baseman. He's also a great contact hitter. Should have a good eye. He only drew 48 walks last year, but he should be able to get 60, 70 walks in a season. He's our number 6 hitter, switch hitting guy. I really like him a lot. I was a little disappointed that he only hit 249 last year after hitting 270 as a rookie. In the number 7 spot, we've got Anthony Rizzo, who's going to be our DH this year, and he can play first when Cody needs a break. Rizzo, pretty consistently hitting 245, 250 every year, comes over here and hits 212. Pretty consistently has a WAR around 2 or 3, and negative -0.2. So Rizzo did not really play well, but I'm thinking he's gonna bounce back. He's got to bounce back. I'm believing it.
Yeah.
And the 8th hitter, the other position where we're not 100% sure. Sometimes when I have my manager set the lineups, he puts Brian Cooper there. Sometimes he puts Jeremy Kinney there. Those two guys are not that different. Cooper is probably has less power, will strike out less, little more speed. He's 23 years old. I think he'll be a good hitter. He only played in 8 games last year and hit 316. And then Jeremy Kinney, like I said, has a little bit more power. He hit 241 with 13 home runs in 112 games. So we'll see how he does. I'm not sure which one of those guys my manager's going to end up starting, but right now he's got Cooper in the lineup with Kinney backing up in right and center. So we'll see how that goes. And then my 9th hitter is purely in the lineup for his amazing glove and arm. Shortstop Tyler Donaldson. Now, my scout thinks this guy can be a 280, 290 hitter and, draw 60, 70 walks. He hit 237 last year, but he was over 300 almost every year in the minors up until then. So we'll see if Tyler figures it out at the plate this year. But he's got no pressure. He's hitting 9th. If he can just get on from time to time, so that Bernie and Gus and Mark can drive him in, that will be great.
Yeah. So
One,
I've heard you say a couple times that you let your manager make the decisions on the lineup and stuff like that. That's your philosophy, kind of. I get the players, you do what you
yep,
do, and
yeah. I occasionally will interfere. Like right now, I've forced Cody Clemens to be the starting first baseman. But that's pretty rare, pretty regularly. I will just, let the manager do what they want to do. And try not to second guess them, because I am the type of person who would change my lineup every time I, get 3 hit. So I don't have the patience for this. So if I just
the
put it
pitcher
in the
gives up three
manager's
runs in the
hands,
pitcher gives up 3 runs in the first inning, you're like, get him out.
get him out
Next.
of there. Yeah. Yeah. So I am letting the manager call the shots.
Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about your minor league system. Do you have any
I'd love to.
prospects? that you think may come up to the major leagues this year and make an impact at some point?
All right, so I didn't even know this until about a month ago, but right now the Kansas City Royals have the number one rated system in the league. So I was pretty excited when I saw that.
Wow.
So I would say that are uh, the guys you're most likely to see are Francisco Alvarez, who's like the number 10 prospect in the league right now. He's, you know, third catcher on my official depth chart. Um, but I know the game likes to overvalue catchers. Um, there's a good chance that if a pitcher gets hurt, Kenny Funkhauser, my first round pick a couple years ago, will be in our starting rotation. He'll probably be in our starting rotation during spring training. He's the number 12 prospect in the league right now. I've got an infielder named Garrett DeChambeau who I like a lot. He's not as good as Tyler Donaldson defensively, but he's a little bit better at the plate. Um, I don't have a place for him to go right now with DeSatas at third, Donaldson at short, and Gus Lopez at second. And I don't want him to be sitting on the bench. So he could come up in the event of an injury. Probably he would be up there. Um, he
He
hit,
had a pretty good year last year in AAA.
yeah, he hit 282 in Omaha. I think he's got a lot of potential. Kevin Noust, who we already talked about,
Uh,
is actually one of our top five prospects. So he's a he's I mean, he's definitely going to be in our starting rotation this year. So those are the guys that I would say are most likely to be in there this year.
yeah. You have a young guy that when I was the GM of the Reds, I hadn't traded them to the White Sox, who you got, which is Marshall Larkin.
Oh, Larkin is another guy. He could be up this year. He's made some strides this offseason in terms of the scouting reports have really improved on him over the offseason. So, but once again, I don't really have a place for a good hitting infielder who's not a defensive whiz. If I were to make a trade and free up my DH spot, there's a chance he could make it up, but I don't know. I think he's probably gonna have to wait a year. um,
Well, he's young, just like
yeah,
the Campbell. He's 20. They're both 22.
yeah.
So it's
I
nice
got a
to have
lot
those kind
of
of players sitting in the minors just in case you get an injury or something. Then you call them up and you don't
yeah.
have much, slack from that.
Oh, and another guy I got from you that I really like, I just don't have a spot for him is Dan Bryant. He's 23. Um, I really like players that have high ratings on avoid Ks, and Dan Bryant's one of those guys. And he hit 269 with us last year, which is pretty good. Um, and he hit 320 when he was in Oakland the year before. Um, I really like him. I just don't have room. So he'll
And
be in
that's the only
Omaha.
reason why I traded them. So,
Omaha could be a pretty good club next year. Because I
if you
got
can't win
another
it, if you
outfielder.
can't win a championship in the majors, win it in AAA, right?
Yeah, I got another outfielder named Bob Collins I really like. He'll be making his AAA debut. He was in AA last year. So Omaha's going to have some nice bats with Alvarez, Collins, Garrett Mitchell, Garrett DeChambeau, Marshall Larkin, Dan Bryant. It's a nice little lineup.
The hard part is trying to make room for them up in the majors when that time comes, because
Yeah,
you're pretty young in the
yeah.
majors
I don't think anyone's over like 28 besides Baker
in Rizzo.
and Rizzo. Yeah, and Rizzo. Yeah. Everyone else is pretty young, so
Yeah, same with
there'll have
your
to be
starting
some
staff.
trades made. Yeah,
Well, so
yeah. Addison
so
Reed's my old man.
yeah. Well, you mentioned trades. What's your kind of philosophy? I mean, I know you're kind of at the end of your rebuild, starting to go into time for contending. So
Right.
how do you juggle that and try to keep the farm system stocked without, killing your prospects because they don't get playing time?
Well, I'm gonna have to move any prospects that are, 24, 25 for younger guys. I find it's a little easier if you've got guys that are in the majors that other owners can see how they produce at the big league level. Like for me, it would be easier for me to trade a Jeremy Kinney or a Brian Cooper um, to make spot for one of my other guys to come up. Um, so I also have to remember that I am a small market team. I got to watch guys that are getting big bucks in arbitration and getting near the end of the automatic renewals. Um, it's probably smarter for me to trade those guys away and then bring up minimum wage players if I've got somebody similar. Because I feel like, I've got three guys on my big league roster, three outfielders, Gunnar Nelson, Brian Cooper, and Jeremy Kinney, that really aren't that different than my top three outfielders in Omaha. Um, so I would probably trade one of them and call somebody up. But if they're 22, I can let them sit in Omaha another year and push that decision back a little bit.
Right, exactly. And so your market size is below average, and same with your fan loyalty, but your fan interest is 76. That's pretty impressive for a
Yeah.
small market team.
Yeah. Signing Baker. And then I think there's a bug in the game. Pat Crosby was like, he's like, I mean, he's not a bad pitcher, but he was a reliever in Seattle with a 5.45 ERA. And when I signed him, it's like your fan interest went up astronomically.
Yeah, I love that, don't you?
So he's just a super popular guy. But
My
yeah,
owner wanted me to re-sign somebody that already left in free agency, and you know, and that took a hit. So my fan interest took a hit on that. So
yeah.
can't control that. So what can we expect out of the Royals here in 2023?
So I'm looking for a second place finish. I'm not okay. I feel like last year was a little bit of a stumble. If I were to get 81 wins this year, I would be happy because I've still got another 20 million I can put into another free agent next year. Although from what I've heard from other owners in this league, you know, there's not always a lot to choose from in free agency like there was this year. Um, but I think what I'm going to do is see where I am in June, late June. Um, and if I think, the AL Central is not the AL West. So if I'm within a few games of first place in late June, maybe I make a push. I've got prospects to trade. I've got, you know, young players I can trade. Um, without giving the whole farm away, I can still trade some of that and maybe make a run this year.
But the
But
preseason
it's all gonna
prediction,
hinge.
yeah, the
It's
preseason
probably
prediction
bad.
for the Central has the Twins winning 91 games, the Tigers winning
Yeah.
89 games, you winning 87 games, the White Sox winning 84 games, and Cleveland with 49.
I don't know how accurate those are, but
Yeah,
yikes. But yeah, I think it's all gonna be contingent on where I am in late June. Um,
good.
but you know, I think I've got a young core that should be able to, make me at least decent for the next few years. And whether or not I become a contender depends on what I can add to that core.
Well, I think there's a lot of people in the league that are hoping that you or Jim knock off Rocky,
Yeah. Yeah.
the throne the champ.
Do my best.
So I always like to end these and to ask you, tell the MLB Pro Universe something about you, maybe what you do for a living, and you know, maybe something
Yeah.
that might pique their interest on, maybe who's on a trade block or something to, get them a DM you.
Well, well, I don't really have a big trade block, but I tend to be willing to trade anybody if the right offer comes along. Um, Although I probably would not at this point trade Gus Lopez or um or Baker now. um, but I'll tell you a little bit about me. I have this hat that I got, this Casey hat that I got at Kansas City game I went to with my best friends growing up, and that's the only time I've ever seen the Royals was that one game, on a trip to Kansas City. But I work for NC State University. I do IT. I'm the assistant director for technology in my division. Um, and then I moonlight working at the arena doing Carolina Hurricanes games. I do graphics for Hurricanes in-house broadcasts and NC State basketball in-house broadcasts. So I spend a lot of time doing techie things.
Hey, there could be worse things out there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So good. Anything else you want to add that you want to say that I didn't ask you or anything?
No, I just yeah, I'm looking forward to the season starting, looking forward for spring training coming around. I like this league more than real baseball, so um I'm very grateful for the guys that run it and everyone else that participates and does things like podcasts and stuff. It really makes it a lot of fun. So thank you to
Well,
everybody.
yeah, and I just wanted to do this. Jim started this last year, as you know, and he was
Yeah,
not able to do it this year, so I didn't want it to go to waste or go by the wayside. So
right.
now people are stuck with me doing this instead of him.
It's all right. It's all right. I think as long as they get information about the teams, they don't care who asks the questions. But I do
There you
appreciate
go.
you doing it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and willing to share about the Royals, and we look forward to seeing how you do in this year.
All right. Me too.
So, so I'm going to stop the recording and we can stay on and chat here for a
All right.
second.